This is Feature Miner. So the movie They Clone Tyrone reveals secrets hidden in plain sight. So They Clone Tyrone is a movie that stars Jamie Foxx and a few others, and it dives into the idea of clones. Now, I've done a lot of research on clones and human cloning and stuff like that, so I'll leave a link in the comment section and description box if you need to get caught up, because there's a lot of information that I cover in previous videos. So basically, we discussed in those videos about how they can clone, well, allegedly clone full adult human beings. So, you would think that they would clone a human from, maybe a womb, and the individual would have to grow up from a baby to an adult. But according to my research, they actually have the technology to create the avatar as a full adult human being. And well, that's even if you would call it a human being. You should probably just call it a clone, I suppose. But the point is that they're saying that they can actually achieve this. And one of the processes that it looks like they're doing is they're saying they can duplicate cells or something where, they can kind of just grow a human. And I don't know if this information is valid or not, but there's all types of ways they're saying they're doing this stuff. We discussed maybe growing a basic human being and then maybe doing some plastic surgery on it to make it look like whoever they want it to look like. There's also masks. So, with this They Clone Tyrone movie, they're showing that, there's this laboratory underground and they're growing full adult human beings. Now, what I found interesting is that these clones were released into society. Now, look, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to be spoiling some parts of the movie, so that's just a heads up. But, these clones were released into society and they were just living their life. So what I picked up from that is it looks like they're showing that some of these so-called people are actually clones, and that's what I have been covering as NPCs. So an NPC is a non-playable character. It's like a background character, basically. So it looks like these clones were actually the NPCs of this world. And that's pretty disturbing, because there's some people that speculate that there's a lot of background players in this world. And so that kind of sheds light on the idea of NPCs, where, there's these people that exist and they're not really people. They're just going about certain things in life, maybe whatever direction they were steered into getting into. They might be just stuck at this one job, or they're doing some type of, I would think that it would be more important jobs, but this movie makes it look like they're suggesting that these NPCs are just doing minor things in life, not really like very important jobs. That's what I would think they would be doing, is more like politicians, celebrities, high profile jobs like that. But this movie is suggesting that they were just kind of experimenting and throwing these people into the world amongst us, and they had a purpose, though. Their purpose was to do certain things, whether you might think it's important or not. The point was they wanted to experiment on the population. And there was a part in the movie where, they kind of show some other things, like stuff in the food, and they'll show like how, they might be tampering with the food that people are eating. And some of the things was like, if they ate the food or the drink, it would influence their behavior. And that's what they're showing in the movie. But you can add your own speculation to what could really be going on in real life. But that's not too far off, that there's stuff in the food, because you really do got to be careful about what you're eating in this world. And there's a lot of stuff that I like to stay away from, like soda and other things like that. But yeah, this movie showed that they were actually messing with the food and tampering with it. Also underground, like that part I was saying, like they're showing an underground laboratories and stuff where they're doing all these experiments below the earth. That makes a lot of sense with these deep underground, bases underneath the earth that people have been speculating about. Also, they're showing how in the movie they had this part where they were playing music, so they were playing real aggressive music, and they'd watch the clones start fighting each other, and then they would play, calm music, and the clones would relax and, act different. So they were showing us how, in real life it's kind of the same way where, the more aggressive music you might see, that influencing people and their behaviors, and that might lead to people, committing more violence and crimes based on what music they're listening to. And even if it's not a reaction right away, some of that lasts and could affect the person and might influence them to respond a different way, maybe in a different situation. So it might not be an immediate reaction. The person affected might, just receive that information, and it might show up later on in a different situation, how their influence was affected by the music they listen to or the movies that they watch. So that kind of shows us some of that. And it was interesting how it looked like there was like several clones of the same person in different parts of the world and different parts of the country. So at the end, this clone saw himself on TV, and that's interesting because people have been saying that there is doppelgangers around where, you might have a twin somewhere. And there's been mainstream reports about this before where, somebody got arrested this one time, and, it was a doppelganger, somebody he wasn't even related to. And he looked just like the person that was arrested. So that's pretty disturbing. I mean, could there be something there where maybe it's not just a random person that looks like, their twin? Maybe, maybe there is something going on here with this clone stuff to where, there would be multiple people that have the same look walking around. They're not related. And could that be a clone thing, or is it just a natural thing, is the question. So another thing that kind of stood out is how the clones would have this daily routine kind of set up to where they'd wake up and, it'd be a form of mind control where, he thought his mom was in the room. He'd knock on the door and ask her if she needs anything from the store. It turns out that was just a recording. The mom would say, "No, I don't need nothing." It was set up to respond like, kind of like Siri or something, some type of AI technology. It turns out that nobody was ever in that room. His mom was never in that room that whole movie. So, basically it was part of the program to, keep that clone, with his mind controlled, to where, it was just a setup routine to where he'd wake up, pretty much do the same thing every day. The clone would like go scratch off a lottery ticket, and he'd give the bum on the corner a little bit of his beer and go about his day. And it'd be like a cycle. A lot of people are stuck in this cycle where, they're pretty much, they give us a routine where, even if you're not a clone, if you're a regular human being or not, it's like a lot of people live that life where they have this cycle, and you wake up and do pretty much the same thing every week. Monday through Friday, you might go to work, and then the weekends, it's like, it's pretty much the same thing you end up doing. It's like a repeat type thing, and they kind of showed some of that in the movie. So there's some clues to be found there. And basically some of the other things they showed in the movie was, well, they had like regular businesses throughout the city, and some of these businesses were actually front businesses. So on the outside, it might look like a franchise restaurant or something, but really it was being run by these people behind the scenes that are doing experiments on the cities. And there'd be, an elevator to go to the basement. And, if the place gets busted, they would, remove everything real quick. They knew how to like make it look like nothing was really going on there. So like one time they busted this place, and then they went back to it. And when they went back to it, it was already just a regular place by then. They removed everything that quick. and it makes them think like, okay, maybe I was imagining something, you know. And it just kind of shows us in this movie how, you know, behind the scenes they were doing all these experiments on the populations, and with adding the clones into the mix was very interesting. It's kind of like there's a lot of hidden gems in there. It looks like there's a lot of clues, and I think some of these movies might be showing us some truth and hidden in plain sight possibly. But I don't know, as far as the overall movie entertainment wise and everything, I'd probably give it like I'd say like a B minus, maybe even a solid B. It was okay. But let me know if you saw the movie and if you picked up on any clues or what you think about anything we covered in this video. I'm gonna leave some links if you want to do more research with me on more clues and different movies and stuff like that. I'm also gonna leave a link to my other channels, my social media, my Feed Your Mind store, my free email newsletters, and much more. If you would like to support this channel, it's very important because they're trying to suppress my channel. So if you could support as little as $1, it would really help keep things going here at Feed Your Mind. So thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell. Signing off.